All right, everyone, welcome back to the
Through Her Eyes podcast.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Malia.
And we wrote a book together.
Woo!
So you've been an author. You've published 4 novels.
Just, 4 novels. Nothing crazy. Just...
I've barely published 1 book.
No, you published one.
Man, that was
a publisher
hard.
is a published. That's what everyone tells me when I try to say I didn't publish a book.
Okay, I published a book.
Yeah, you did.
But look at our baby!
It's so nice! Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. A labor of love, to say the least.
And lots of tears.
Lots of love and tears and sweat and
dancing.
And Prosecco.
And procrastination. Anyway,
we are going through different topics in the book, and today we are touching on a really important topic of Blackness.
Oh, yes.
Who we are as Black women, what that has meant in our lives, all the things.
All the things that comes with our beautiful skin.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one of the first things that we wanted to talk about, of the many things that you could talk about being Black, is when we first discovered we were Black, first felt our Blackness. I told you yesterday that it was when I first saw my Blackness in a negative light. We both have very specific moments where that happened for us.
And we both, for the most part, grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So upstate New York, Rochester, all white. And then moved to Denver when I was like 6, 7.
Which is still predominantly
white neighborhoods-ish in Denver.
My neighborhood that we lived in, and all my schools, elementary through high school, were predominantly white. There was diversity, but very little of it, very scarce. So all of my friends were white girls and white boys.
So when did you you noticed at a young age that your skin was a different color, but when did it really hit that I'm Black, and what does that mean?
I'm Black. So in middle school, at my charter school I went to, you get put into electives and you rotate through them throughout the year. And for one of them, I chose basketball. I think it's because we needed to choose a sport. I did not know how to play basketball.
Weird.
I did play basketball for 3 years though in middle school, and I made at least 1 basket. So. Oh my God!
Let's do it again.
Anyways, oh my gosh. So I was in a basketball elective, and anybody in middle school could do it. So there were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in that elective. And so there were kids I didn't know that were in older grades. And there was this boy, I don't remember his name. He was a white boy. He was bigger. And they would split up all of the kids in that elective into 4 teams. And then you would play on your side of the gym, whatever. And I was playing basketball on this one side of the gym, and he was on the different team. And I was told that if your team doesn't have the ball, you have to go get the ball. So I was trying to get the ball back from him. And during this one day in elective, he said that I have to get away from this Black woman at one point, because I was trying to get the ball from him and I was trying to be aggressive. And then at another point, in that same day,
he said woman? Black woman?
Yeah, he said, I got to get away from this Black woman. And then I don't remember which came first. I'm pretty sure that one came first, because I heard it and I was like, but it wasn't. But then later that same day, he called me the N-word, and that rocked my world. And I don't even think I fully understood what the N-word mean, but I knew he was saying it to me. I knew it was a word that is not said and was not ever used in the positive light, because that's the first time I've heard it. And he said it at me.
I was hot. I was so hot.
I was so distraught. And in our childhood podcast, we talked about how in middle school that sucked a lot of the light out of me and out of a lot of my muchness. And it did. But middle school was also where that word got used at me, and I have never felt more singled out. Mm-hmm. I have never felt more othered. I always knew I was a different skin color, and I was we'll talk about this later, but I was kind of always numb to it, because again, all my classmates all of my girlfriends and all of the photos from middle school, I was the only Black girl in that photo, maybe one of 2. But to be called that word and to be singled out that way, and just because I was trying to be on the defense for basketball. And he felt the need to call me that word. I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed. I would have rathered my friends that were bullying me during that time have called me out for something random or called me annoying.
What did other people do? I don't think I've ever asked you this. Like the other people on the team, on his team, on your team, what did they do? Or like, was there any sort of reaction? Or?
I swear no one else heard it. And if anyone did, no one did anything about it. So it probably is a situation where there are probably other kids, because he said it loud enough for me to hear. And we're all in half of this gym. It was a charter school, a small gym. And we're all trying to play around each other. So I know I was not the only person to hear it. But no one else did anything. And also at that age, what are we supposed to? I didn't even know that was a word that he knew.
Right, and that's what I was thinking of. Is this kid not only knew the word but knew how to use it in the right context? And y'all were young, like super young.
He was 2 years old. If I remember correctly, he was an 8th grader.
So that
he was a little older, but like
he has heard the word and has heard it used. And I always just go back to parents and exposure. Like, what is your kid exposed to that they would, one, know the word, know the context, to be able to use it and actually think it's okay to use.
Think it's okay, but have not emotion behind it, but just like
anger,
enough anger to then use the word in context that I know he knew probably shouldn't have been said.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he didn't know that that's just like it's not a common word that you use day to day.
Yeah.
And
that it's offensive, that it's hurtful, degrading.
So degrading. Like I never felt so small, and I already didn't know how to play basketball. I was already weird. I was already starting to shrink into myself already as a 6th grader. And then that was just like the nail in the coffin of like, oh my gosh. Like wait. Like it threw me for a loop. I went to see my the counselor at the school within the same day, and I'm pretty sure elective was the last class of the day. Like I saw her, got in her car in tears, didn't know what to do or think or how to go to my basketball elective the next day.
Well, and I was telling you this too, that like as a parent, I was upset because I had not prepared you. And there's a difference, we've talked about this, there's a difference between preparing your kids to know and understand that they are different, that you are Black, that that's what this means. But it didn't even cross my mind at that age to prepare you to be called.
Because why would you, like, that's not something that you think.
No, but like that it happens.
It checks out.
It happens. It's very, and people talk about Colorado being progressive, and Colorado, there's racism everywhere.
Everywhere. It's just super hidden.
It's covert. It's like it's hidden. It's under the surface. People will smile in your face.
It's discreet, yeah, for sure.
And not like you or your people.
Like strongly, but still make eye contact and smile if you see each other on the sidewalk. But internally,
be gracious and internally. And then that, like, don't even get me started on like how that extends into business contracts and transactions and jobs and roles and managers and promotions and all of those things.
Just every interaction.
Yeah.
But so that was, I still had I had so much to learn from 6th grade, and I had so much, this is going to sound really weird and hard. I had so much more to be shamed for past 6th grade, because that was just the one moment. As I grew up, I learned about slavery. I learned about racism. George Floyd happened. Like I continue to feel more and more ashamed by my society and be more aware. But that was my first, the bubble was taking off, the glasses were taking off. Of like, holy crap. Like this means more than you're one color, I'm more color.
Yeah.
And that was my first, unfortunately, heartbreaking introduction to that world that you just, once you get introduced, the doors never close.
Right.
So that was my first opening, and once I was pushed through that door, I was not able to.
You can't unknow it.
You can't unknow it or see it, especially because as a 6th grader, in the younger ages, everything goes over your head. So as you get older, like it was bound to happen. Unfortunately, it happened in the situation and the age that it did. but it was bound to be exposed to me that this world is still flawed and it's still cruel.
Yeah.
So
I was 6.
oh yes, your first realization.
My first realization, and again, understanding and knowing that I looked different was one thing. And I think I knew even at 6 though that it wasn't desirable. And having dark skin, being Black, wasn't preferred, wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
And so I do remember, and I talk about this in the book, of being in my kindergarten, first grade class and being the only person of color. And then also all of these beautiful, what I thought, now this is the perspective of a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, beautiful white girls with blonde hair, long and flowy, and they looked alike and they hung out together, and I just wanted to look alike. I didn't want to stand out. I just wanted to be a part of the group. And I do remember, and I want to say it was the first day of first grade.
Wow.
Where the boy in the green overalls.
Boy in the green overalls.
Boy in the green overalls was like, hey, and it wasn't even a, hey, what's your name? It was just like, you look like you haven't taken a bath in 1,000 years.
Oh, that makes me sick. And you were 6?
I was 6. And it took a second I was like, do I smell? Like what? And he literally pointed at my arm. You look like you haven't taken a bath in 1,000 years.
I just at 6.
And I laughed. I laughed because he laughed and other people laughed. And I was so taken back. I didn't know what to do. And I didn't have a comeback.
Yeah.
And I, again, it's like, I know my skin color is different, but for that to be a negative, bad thing,
that your skin's associated with you being dirty?
I laughed, and then I went home and I cried. And needless to say, my dad pulled us out of public school like pretty quickly after that, and we moved to Denver.
1 day later.
24 hours later. But yeah, that was my kind of first interaction with that. And then that evolved and grew to be different. You've got what that was elementary school. Yeah. We were homeschooled, so I didn't have like a middle school encounter. I had a high school encounter, and I even remember at CU Boulder, this was my maybe sophomore year, I was big into leadership. So I was doing all the leadership programs, leadership classes, all of this stuff. And I applied to be a part of the student government in the business school and got on the board of the student government of the business school. Fast forward to senior year, the lead school of business at the time gave away one award at graduation, one leadership award to one student, and I applied for it. But you had to go through interviews. And so I wasn't close with, by any means, with any of the people I was on the board with. We had a board meeting once a semester. That was it. So it's not like they knew me by name necessarily. And I remember sitting in the lobby of the business school waiting for my interview, and I was early. Wow. I had a suit on, like I was ready to go. And I just sat there, and the person whose interview was before me left. A woman came out, a student, looked around the lobby, went back in the room. So I'm like, oh, they're not ready for me. Came back out, looked around the lobby, went back in the room. And so now I'm kind of looking, and I'm like, well, my interview is like now. Waiting. Finally, it's like 10 minutes. And I'm like, my interview was supposed to start 10 minutes ago. Somebody comes out, this time like a white guy, student, comes out, looks around the lobby, goes back in. 15, and I was like, I don't want to be late for my interview, but I'm the only one here. So I finally knock on the door, and I was just like, hi, I'm waiting for my interview. And they're like, what's your name? Olivia Omega. Oh
my gosh.
Come on in.
Oh, I'm going to be sick.
So confused. Like, just, so you literally didn't have the thought to ask?
Yeah, because they didn't even ask you.
They didn't say anything.
If you were Olivia, if you had seen anybody pass by and missed the room. Like, they didn't even want to question
and I'm
you
sitting there in a suit. So it's just like, that's crazy. So literally, and this is not the first time, and definitely was not the last time. On paper, I look like someone that I don't look like in person.
Yeah.
And for them to just be like shocked that, oh, you're Olivia that is on this paper, that has done all these things.
Not even consider that you would be the same person as someone on the paper.
Like, it's not even a thought. To not even ask the question.
There's no way that you in a suit, only person out there, is the person on the paper.
And here's the issue with this is that we all have subconscious bias.
Yeah.
Every single one of us.
For sure.
And I don't believe that those students were racist.
Oh, no.
It just could not click in their head.
With the society that we have and the way that so many people have grown up and continue to be grown up, it's not even a thought that sometimes that we are on the same level or maybe even higher.
They just didn't know. And I have another situation where I was talking fast forward to me owning Baby Candy in my children's clothing line. I was on the phone with a boutique owner in Cherry Creek. And I had talked to her on the phone several times about me coming, showing her my product, being in her store, that sort of thing. And we kind of started this rapport on the phone. And I finally was able to connect with her to be able to come and check out her store. So I come in, and I literally had called her saying, I'm on my way, like I'm trying to find parking, I'll be there any minute. I walk in, and she looks at me, and she's like, can I help you? And I'm like, hey girl, because we had a rapport on the phone. And she's like, yeah, can I help you? Olivia. She was like, what? And this person being, her and I becoming pretty close over the years, being very open about, I thought you were a blonde white girl. She was just like, just from the way I talk.
I was about to say, I have so many stories.
From the business I was running, like, she's just like, I just had pictured Olivia as this blonde white woman. But at least she was open about it. Yeah. So going back to the CU award thing, I do my interview. I'm like shaking because I'm nervous, but also because what the heck?
Yeah.
And then they were going to announce the winner at graduation.
Oh gosh.
So I'm sitting there. I think I graduated in December, so it was a smaller ceremony, a smaller class, but it was still like 700 people.
That's crazy that that's a small class.
Graduating from the business school. And I believe there was one other Black man in my class graduating in December. So just sitting there, and they call up the award. They're like, we're going to give this.
Hey! Hell yeah, because what do we expect?
Because it was a no-brainer. I had more leadership experience, dedicated myself to leadership, volunteer work, president's leadership class, all of the things that I had done. Captain of the cheerleading team, like all of the things that I had done to lead into that. And so it made sense. But to think that my face didn't match what they thought that award should go to or even interview for. Crazy.
That's what I was, as you were talking, I was thinking about the goggles that we have or lack thereof. We were talking, and when we were talking about writing this chapter, I was trying so hard for us to write the same chapter and make it as alike as possible. And then we realized through talking again earlier this year that our perspectives on Blackness and how we've lived in that Blackness are so different. I am aware of my Blackness, but in the same breath, a lot of times I don't even think about it. Like, I'm numb to it. Because all white friends, all white community, graduated with a lot of kids that looked different than me. And someone will have to, I think this happens a lot, where we will go to a party and we'll leave, or if I'm with friends, will be like, we were the only Black people in there. And I literally will be like, we were?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm just like not even in that headspace. And it's unfortunately where things have to happen to me for me to be reminded. Like when you're talking about putting the face with the application, I worked at Jamba Juice for a year, which what an interesting experience. But I loved being on the headset. And if you don't know this is now your time to learn. If you're anywhere near the speaker for the menu, anybody who has a headset in that store can hear everything that you're saying, unless you're whispering. Oh. So this one group comes up, and before they order, there's maybe one girl in there, but it's like a car of like 3 guys and a girl maybe. And I take their order, and they don't move up after I take their order. So they literally made bets in that vehicle of whether I was a white woman or a Black woman based off of my voice.
You never told me that.
No. I think I have another story too. I thought about when you were talking
Wow.
that they literally put money on whether I was a white woman or even white or black.
Like, why did that even come up?
Why did? And so then when they came up to the window and I'm smiling and I'm Malia and here, this is how much you owe and doing all the things, I literally, because they're also not being discreet at all. It's the one dude is just like, I knew it, and they passed over money. I'm like, why are we making bets over what I've...
So he got it right that you're black?
One did, but everyone else in the car was like,
no,
she's white. Because same thing, when my college, I go to school in Belhaven, almost done. When I talk in Mississippi, one of the first things that people who don't know me say is, where are you from? Because I'm black.
Because you're not from the South.
I'm not from the South regardless.
Right.
But I sound like, I would joke, and I joke about it because I can joke about myself, that I'm a white girl in a black body because I like Starbucks and I like all the white stereotypes. And I grew up in Colorado with white people.
I would beg to say there are a lot of black women who love Starbucks.
I know.
And Target.
It's just... And,
like...
But that is known to be like, I don't know, like...
That's sad. That's sad.
I'm aware that it's sad, but I'm also have been self-aware that because I grew up in this society, there's a lot of things about black culture and being in the South and big things that I just don't know about. I don't speak all the slang in the South. When black people talk to me in the South, half the time I do not know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying.
I don't know. Like a lot of people.
Anyway. But I don't talk like that. So the fact that of all the things they could be talking about in that car, they ordered some smoothies, whatever. They felt the need to bet on whether I was white or black. And I was just, and then they drove off and I was like, huh. Like in that moment, I was reminded that I was black and I was reminded of how we're viewed as other. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, because I just don't think about it. And then jump forward to, I was on homecoming court at Belhaven my sophomore year. And we were standing on the field waiting to do our prep rally. And the director of where we're supposed to stand was trying to tell us how we're supposed to walk on, who we're walking, all the things, but he was not being clear. I know I'm slow, but he was not being clear as to what we were doing and kept changing up the directions. And the band was playing, and we couldn't hear anything. So we all had to be like, what? What are you saying? Like, what are we doing? And then I think I asked, what are we doing one more time, maybe twice. And I was one of 2 black girls on this court. I think one of 4 black people on the court with a predominantly black community. It was still very much a white court. And there was this white girl senior on the court. And she called me the black clueless.
You didn't tell me that either.
I knew it. Yeah, I was thinking about the story and I was like, I don't think you know about the story. And my eyes went blurry. I went numb. I was like, oh. And the thing is I'm aware that of the people on that court, I was one of the few black people. I'm aware of my skin color. I'm aware of my hair. But the fact that even though I'm weird and I am... Gosh, Malia. Breathe. It's okay, Mom. Even though I have a slow reaction to a lot of things, and it takes me a second to pick up on a lot of things. That's known about me, and I'm a dork and whatever, and I knew that. And I've only watched Clueless a couple times, but the minute she said that, I knew exactly what she meant. But to tell me that I'm the black Clueless, and then kind of like the green overalls, she laughed, and I'm not going to confront her. I'm not a confrontational person. But I was so thrown off that what else am I supposed to do but laugh with her? And there's other people on the court heard it, so we were all like, ha ha, and then we get in line, and I'm literally, my eyes glaze over. And I get back to my dorm, and I was called out for my blackness.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
So I was like, my world had been, my rug had been ripped out from under me. And I was,
here is my prayer for you and for me and for others, is that while you have a non-confrontational nature, I have a non-confrontational nature, that in moments like that, we immediately and instantly have the courage not to pick a fight, not to go off.
Because she's such a sweet girl.
Not to be the crazy, angry black girl, but to be the courageous, confident black woman that can pause and say something. Mm. And that something could be anything like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Or, what did you mean by that? Or, I'm assuming that wasn't a compliment.
Yeah.
Anything because that person needs to know that it's not okay.
It's not funny.
It's not funny.
It was like sick to my stomach, but I had to put a smile on my face because they were introducing the court, and I was just like, I can't breathe. And so I was telling you this the other day that my Blackness, I don't wear it every day. I'm not conscious of it every day. The days that I'm most conscious about it is the time is my hair, which is currently curly.
We can do a whole thing on hair, but we could dive into that. I think when we had this conversation, I live, breathe, eat, sleep, wake up, go to sleep with my Blackness goggles on, right? So everything that I see, everything that I do, I am very, very aware that I am a woman and that I'm a Black woman to my detriment almost. Yeah. And so it's heavy and it's a weight, it's a burden to carry. And so I in retrospect, as a mom, have tried to make you see that you are Malia.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a Black woman, because I don't want you to carry that every day. So we had this conversation literally just yesterday. Had this conversation, and she was like, "Oh, I don't
wear Blackness goggles."
You're like, "I'm not aware of my Blackness every day." I was like, "What? You're not?"
And then I was like, "You are?"
Yes, I am. But then I got like emotional and I got teary because how freeing and liberating is that? I'm so glad you don't wear that every single day at all times.
But then on the flip, I was telling you of just like when I think about how I don't always think about my Blackness, how I don't always have those goggles on, it's not a burden. I am sad sometimes that I am not living in my skin and embracing it and loving it. I'm numb to it, and I don't wear it every day, and I don't see it every day, and I'm not conscious of it, whereas you have it all the time and see it as almost a detriment, as almost a burden to always be in that lens. And I feel like I'm almost betraying my skin color by not loving and living in it. And like my hair, I only wear my goggles and truly feel it when I have my curly hair,
which I love.
And if you know me, I don't like my curls. If you've spent any time with me, you know that I unfortunately
Reverse.
I prefer my hair straightened. Every year on my birthday, I prefer my hair to be straightened. If I want to be pretty, I want my hair straightened. And it is still taking time for me to love and accept my curls. I don't like them. I don't like when I have to wash my hair and it's curly and I have to wake up and style it. And so I was telling you that I truly feel Black when I have this curls on, but even then I'm not, oh my gosh, my curls, and oh my gosh, I'm Black and I'm beautiful. On Black Magic, I wrote a whole nonfiction piece freshman year at Belhaven about how I start crying when I have to finally wash my hair and keep it curly. And that is I see as a mom the beauty in me just being me and not always living in that Blackness. I appreciate that I don't always see it a negative way, but I also feel like I'm not truly loving and accepting myself since I'm not always in that Black lens. And then when I do feel like I have the goggles on, I want to take them right back off because it's my hair.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're not the only one. I think that hair is I don't even want to say the bane of my existence. Hair is a very, very, very big deal. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I was telling you this, when you were around 2-3 years old, I had really long hair, like down to here, and I kind of slowly cut it, and then I cut it all off. And the response I got, this was you have to remember, this was 20 years ago, almost. This was pre-Black is Beautiful. This was pre-natural hair movement. This was before all of the natural hair, before Black Magic, Black Girl Magic, before all the hair products, before it was cool and acceptable and like, yes, queen, go queen, like before all of that. And so when I cut my hair all off, the response I received, not just from people at the grocery store and just random, but from my family, your dad.
I discovered this. I was like,
I didn't think about this. Mainly men in my life was so negative.
Yeah.
and just like, why would you do that? You look like a boy. Like, why would you want to look like a man? Was so negative that, and I was trying to go natural too. It wasn't just short, it was natural. That within 3 weeks, a month, I was like, oh, I guess I'm relaxing it again, and I guess I'm going to grow it out.
Wow.
Grew it out again to like this long again, and slowly went back. And so the decision for me to cut my hair off and go natural the second time around was because of what I saw you going through.
Wow, really?
Yes, because here I am straightening my hair, getting it relaxed, wearing it straight, because I didn't want to deal with the natural either.
So annoying.
And it felt ugly. Like it felt ugly, and the response I got, right? Mm-hmm. But I was like, what example am I showing my daughter? So I literally went natural because I was like, I need you to have an example in your life of a woman who carries herself in such a way and rocks the hair that God gave her.
Which is so like, I'm hearing this and I'm like, oh, I'm so inspired by you and your presence and how you carry yourself every day. And it just breaks my heart because right around when you switched again, even though I saw that at home, I went to Highline every day. And part of my piece that I wrote freshman year is that I would beg you to let me go with my hair straightened. Let me go for picture day, because all the girls in my class had the blonde, had the long hair, and I just wanted to look like them.
And I did too. So that's why I knew.
And I saw that every day.
Thing. And so that's why we did take the time to straighten your hair and for you to wear it out.
I lost my mind when she let me wear it finally to school. It was like 5th or 6th grade.
There is a picture of the first time I straightened your hair. And it was for a dance recital or something. Because we had to...
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And your hair was like down
to your waist. It was my pajamas, and my hair was down to my booty.
And girl, talk about like...
I was... Because it was still my Mila, my little girl me era where I was like strutting. And so I
couldn't tell her nothing with that long, flowy. Oh, it was great. It was great. And it brought me joy to see that because I remember what it was like.
Oh, yeah. And that's just it's such a bittersweet, it's a heartbreaking every time that I straighten my hair. I literally am in tears because I want to be able to love my curls now, and I'm told everybody loves my curls, and that also when people tell me they love my curls and oh my gosh your curls are back is a stab in the heart because I'm just like, I'm glad you're happy, I'm miserable, but I wish I wasn't. So whenever I'm about to straighten my hair, I'm just like, oh, just love your curls, just be pretty in it or feel pretty.
I think just love yourself.
Oh,
just love yourself. Just love yourself. Just love yourself. And so don't have this tug of war of straight curly and I'm so mad at myself because I don't like I want you to be like, I love myself. And myself is sometimes it's curly, sometimes it's not. Mm-hmm. I get it. Like I like this. It's so thick and nappy and hard to manage and beautiful. And I will tell you this, like the biggest compliment I can ever get is from a stranger Black man who says randomly at the grocery store or wherever, I love your natural, sis.
Wow.
Because that goes against everything I saw and was and learned growing up, and even in high school where there wasn't a single Black guy in high school who was dating a Black woman. Not a single one. Yeah. It was a thing. And then even in college, I'm like, are there no Black couples? Like, and so it was even more ingrained into me of being less desirable. Yeah. Because no one wanted to date Black girls.
Mm-hmm. Hearing, as much as it hurts and as much as I'm still growing in it, getting compliments on my curls is never something that pushes me backwards. Like it's always a thing that helps me when, even though I'm struggling with it and I have to intentionally love my curls, that everybody else is like, oh my gosh, like even when I worked at the Denver Zoo, when I had my hair curl and I would come back to my teen staff, oh, Malia, your curls, oh my gosh, they're so cute.
That's because they're jealous. Like they want those.
Which is again, even in church when I was little, with my long hair straightened or curly, it was just like, oh, we want some of your hair, and I would feed off of that because I'm just like, why I can't appreciate my hair like how they appreciate my hair. So it's been a constant, but that's how we were talking about how we wear our blackness day to day. In the chapters in our books, I was telling you that I wasn't intentionally writing about my blackness in every chapter because it just didn't come as a thought to me.
And I was like, wait, you're not writing about being Black in every chapter of this book. I talk about it because it's a part of every little thing.
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't talk about Blackness in this chapter. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's
Which is just so, it's just so
I love
interesting.
that you have that different perspective. And the whole point of us writing this book was to be able to compare and contrast and look at different perspectives, your perspective on certain things versus my perspective of you on these certain topics.
And there's so much beauty in that, which I still had to get when we were writing it, of just like, we wanted to have similar chapters in terms of like how we spoke, but in terms of our stories, like as close as we lived in different eras, we experienced our blackness and everything differently. So it's been such a beauty and honor to talk about the hard things of blackness and how we both feel it in a really impactful way in different ways. Like we both feel it to our core, but it's not in the way that you feel it. It's not in the way that I feel it.
Right. Well, with that being said, that was a good one. Stay tuned for the next podcast, the next topic, the next chapter.
Yes, we're so excited to talk more with you all. Do we have
to share this book with you? It's literally coming soon.
Do we have a question for?
Yeah, I think a question for us to think about, for you all and for us too, is how do we really embrace who we are in an authentic way, who we are to our core?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't have to be like, how do I really embrace my blackness? How do I embrace me being a woman? It's who are you, and how can you look in the mirror and be like, this is me, and I am learning to really embrace what that means.
Really embrace and love every bit of you, because it's all beautiful and it's all a work in progress. Yeah. Like none of us, we're all still working on ourselves, no matter the age or background. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you feel willing to share about how you can fully love and embrace every piece of you. We'd love to hear it.
Until next time.
Bye.
Smash the subscribe button.
Tell your friends.
And your pookies.